Welcome to Gold Star Classroom, the podcast where our panelists go back to school. We'll grade them on their answers to a variety of general knowledge and trivia questions. They don't know what we're going to ask, and we don't know what they're going to say. The student with the highest grade at the end of the class will win the coveted classroom prize, the Golden Banana. I'm your host and headmaster, Professor Jerry Jaffe. Welcome to today's episode of Gold Star Classroom. It's my pleasure to introduce today's students. Sitting on my left is comedian and provocateur Tim Cornett.
Hello.
Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Hello, Tim.
I am natural and relaxed. Don't worry.
Well, you would be worried if you knew what questions were about to come your way.
I am relaxed about these upcoming questions.
Sitting on my right is postmaster and comedian T.M. Francis.
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Hi, T.M. How are you?
I'm a little nervous about having to know stuff on this podcast. I didn't think about having to be smart coming into here.
No one ever does.
It's a
typical classroom situation. Mm-hmm. And sitting across from me is comedian Will Kessling, who also contributes some elements to our website. Thank you, Will.
Well, you're welcome, Jerry. Thank you for having me.
I wouldn't say I'm having you, but I will have you take some of my quiz questions, and based on your answers, Will, Tim, and TM, you will be receiving grades, and the student with the highest grade by the end of class will be receiving the coveted classroom prize, the Golden Banana.
Ooh. Nice.
Indeed. Oh, and it just remains for me to say, I, of course, am your host and headmaster, Dr. Jerry Jaffe.
Ah.
All right.
Are you gentlemen ready for your first quiz question?
Yes.
Excellent. Minus 5 points for thinking of yourself as a gentleman.
What?
All right. Now then, the rest of the students knew better than to fall into that trap. I'm sure you've all had experience eating food.
I'm going to walk out right now.
So let me ask you this. How long does it take food to travel your digestive system? Ready, go.
Depends on the food.
Yeah, what about soup? Soup is food.
Soup is food.
What about raisin bran?
Taco Bell go right through you.
Bran, fiber, could have different effects. You are correct about all of that, but I will say
8 hours.
medical researchers and scientists who study this will proffer average times. So there's an average digestive time.
Well, what are they eating?
It's like the Presidential 12 hours.
We have 8 hours, 12 hours, and what are they eating? Which is a
What
brilliant
what are
question, Tim.
what are they basing their research on?
What they base their research on is collections of patients that they have access to, and then they keep like food diaries and digestion diaries and
That
things
sounds
like
like
that.
a really horrible thing to spend your life doing.
Although you do get paid for doing it.
No, not the eaters, the guys who have to keep track.
No, I
of
meant the
eating.
guys who keep track of the eating. I know they don't. I don't know if they make postmaster money, but we're talking doctors and scientists.
You know, the post office is not quite the gold mine you might think it is.
At the job interview, they're like, what do you think you would bring to poop science?
Well, we have 8 hours, 12 hours. Tim, would you like to weigh in on a guesstimate?
I'm going to say 4 hours because I'm a vegetarian.
4 hours as a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the time being measured is from the stomach to the expulsion of waste.
Such a gentleman.
Yes.
Excuse me, honey, while I go expel some waste.
Well, Olive Garden is ruined. Thanks, Jerry.
I'd like to take this opportunity to point out that Gold Star Classroom in no way endorses the product Olive Garden.
Or its waste.
Nor is it a sponsor of this show. I will say, a la The Price is Right, you are all way under.
Under?
Way under?
Way under.
18?
They offer different times. These are average times, remember, so that sort of is meant to account for different foods and different people. But they give different times for men, women, and children. And
yeah. Wait, you didn't say for the average woman. It takes 3.5 years for the average male to course through a woman.
Ironically, I'll give you minus 5 points for unnecessary sexism, but plus 10 points for intuiting that it takes women longer. Because it does take women longer to digest their food.
All right. Well, not to rattle the boat.
What is the time?
But then doesn't the fact that I'm correct then make it necessary sexism?
Well, it's not on a factor of years, so that would be the exaggeration part of it.
Okay.
It's 33 hours for men on average to pass from stomach to out, and 47 hours for women.
So your first shit is 9 months, 33 hours. That's a long time.
Well, we never got the numbers for how long it takes babies, though. Is that shorter?
5 points for TM, in that there is a separate statistic that is just called for children. They don't say for babies, and I'm not sure what age range they're talking about. They're just referred to as digestive time
I know
in children.
when you're potty training puppies, like the rule actually is 4 hours from eating to get them outside, eating to get them outside, eating to get them outside, and they say if you can manage 4 hour increments, or I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. Have them outside within an hour of eating, but you have them go out every 4 hours. That's like the puppy rule of thumb.
It's
to
like
avoid.
a good schedule for them.
Yeah.
Well, when you have, if those averages and estimates are from like stomach down, actually digestion begins in your mouth with chewing and saliva. How long does it take food to go from your mouth to your stomach? There's an organ that facilitates this bridge.
The esophagus.
Plus 5 points for TM for getting to the word esophagus faster. Mastication is chewing. Minus 5 points for showing off.
Sometimes I eat peanut butter and I feel it gets stuck right there.
It's like it's stuck halfway down the esophagus.
Yeah. So that takes longer.
That might
know
help.
that.
The esophagus itself squeezes food down in what's sometimes called as instantaneous, if everything is working properly.
I was gonna say because food poisoning kicks in pretty quick, so.
And then the food rests in your stomach until it's ready to be digested.
Let's time it.
Tim Cornette is
Significantly
amusingly
faster.
sipping his coffee.
For porno stars.
Some people
It's in there.
find
It's in there.
that coffee stimulates their need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. Don't all stimulants do that? I thought that was like a natural.
Well, it might do, but in the case of coffee, it's specifically about the caffeine.
Yeah, I thought the caffeine activated everything.
Caffeine causes what was described to me by a biology teacher as a kind of wave to go through your intestines, squeezing food along, and then when that wave reaches your bowels, it squeezes stuff out.
That makes sense.
That also why my number was only 4 hours. I drink a lot
Massive
of coffee. Yeah.
But the stuff you're excreting is not the stuff you just ate.
Well, it's the
leftover
cycle.
It's the stuff that's
It's
already
been
been
there for
storing.
30 hours.
Yes, it's already been storing there.
That's like when you fart and it smells like Thanksgiving, but it's been a couple months.
No,
You froze my brain trying to determine how many points I should deduct for that.
No,
I thought
you
you were
should actually
saying-
give him points for that.
Phantom farts are a real thing. I didn't eat
Well, I
that.
thought you were gonna say days, and then you said months, and I was like,
That's a different problem. You should see a doctor
Do you
about
eat a lot
that.
of beef? You beef eater?
I can't get that kind of money. Beef money.
No, I mean, also, speaking of spicy foods can also inspire a person's digestive system to evacuate their bowels suddenly. And again, you've just eaten the food, so that's only in your stomach. It's not the spicy food that's being evacuated. What causes that?
Capsa, whatever. That chemical that's in hot sauce.
The capsicum, sometimes called.
Is that what it is?
Capri Sun.
Whether or not Capri Sun causes people to evacuate their bowels is an undetermined scientific
Okay,
question.
all right, let me
I
ask you
just
this
had
then.
one.
Let me ask you this. And I've given up trying to answer questions because I'm dumb. Thanks for cataloging.
Plus
that.
10 points for self-actualization.
Yeah.
You only get 10 points for self-actualization.
Bringing your current score to 10.
Hold on, you awarded me points before. I'm not that dumb, brother. I'm up to 15. If I eat spicy food,
Yes.
specifically the hot sauce at Frank's Falafel here on West 65th, if I eat it at night, my butthole burns in the morning. So that leads me to believe that it takes overnight for food to go from stomach to butthole.
again, as an individual, there could be anecdotal information, but the spicy food that causes you to feel discomfort is not the food itself that's in your bowels. What happens is, if anything distressful happens to your stomach, your brain sends out an emergency signal. Evacuate the bowels! Evacuate the bowels!
Mm-hmm.
So if things that are too spicy, or if you overeat, or maybe something makes you nauseous, anything that alarms your stomach can signal, your brain can signal your bowels to just emergency evacuate.
But how is that useful? Like, usually your brain has like triggers that'll help you in some way. Like, if you're scared, then how is crapping yourself?
Oh, no, that's a real thing when you're scared.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, why?
I think it's like just to like give you a boost. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like jumping that off the ship or the airplane.
That does make sense.
We're losing altitude.
Maybe it's like when in those like movies where they like the cars like spray the oil behind them so all the other cars like speed out. Yeah,
like a squid.
Maybe your oily fear poop is like nature's version of that.
I have 2 more points of trivia about the digestive system that I discovered while preparing my lesson plan, and I just want to run it past you. The medical researchers who do this kind of digestion timing research, they do have a specific word they use to describe the time it takes the food to pass through your intestines and then be excreted.
I just thought the phrase digestion
A
timing
poopia.
research was pretty amazing, actually.
We'll refer to that as DTR here.
Yeah. I specialize in DTR. I wouldn't even ask a follow-up question.
Yeah,
that sounds legit. You don't know if they're just timing people poop.
They call it transit time.
Oh, nice.
Transit time. One other piece of interesting, if useless, trivia. Of course, your digestion system starts with chewing. Food is broken down. And that actually does not have a time to it because you can chew as long or as little as you want. Obviously, you should chew your food properly before attempting to swallow it.
Don't tell me what to do.
I apologize. However, how much saliva is excreted per day?
5 gallons.
Do not stand near Tim
That
while he's
person might
talking.
have rabies.
Is it a liquid measurement?
I actually have it in pints.
Pints, 1 pint. I'll say 1 pint.
Well, I'm going to stick with 5 gallons.
5 gallons. That's
That's
a
like
lot.
25 with that 4 pints per quart.
You know, swallowing and spitting. People are gross.
People are gross.
That is,
But
that is
the-
a valid point.
Do you know how much I spit in my sleep?
I assume they're counting that.
Yeah, like drool sleep. I drool in
How
my
many
sleep.
spiders do
I
you eat in
drool
your
bad,
sleep?
too.
Uh,
That's a myth.
8 to 12 a year.
Nah, I have a dog that eats the spiders.
According to the Mayo Clinic, average person secretes 2 to 3 pints of saliva a day.
How do they measure that?
That's still stupid.
That's almost like a half gallon.
Yes. In other words, 10% of your guys.
Yeah, I was gonna.
While I take this moment to review the grade so far,
What's your mild liquor tone?
it has been suggested to me that as a teacher I rely too heavily on constructive criticism and that I should use more positive reinforcement.
Corporal measures.
Wait a
Teachers
minute.
say when they're being
Wait a
So
minute.
allow me to...
Hold on, and this can count against my time. Somebody was criticizing you about your use of constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And their constructive criticism of your constructive criticism was to stop the constructive criticism. Am I correct in that?
You just earned yourself the first gold star of the class. Tim Cornett has a gold star. In an effort to
just
be
like third grade all
an
over.
uplifting mentor, I would like to now give you a random
Corporal punishment.
random statement of praise off this list of things teachers should say to their students. You've discovered the secret, guys.
What?
Now, to go on to our second question.
Hashtag chemistry class.
This question, having dealt with biology and science, we're going to turn our attention to popular culture and a very common urban legend. I bet you've all heard this urban legend. The question will be, do you know the truth behind the urban legend?
Alright.
In The Wizard of Oz, there is a supposed
Hanging.
suicide
Yeah.
or hanging.
Yeah. Well,
All right, that's the urban legend.
okay.
What is the truth, if you know?
And I might have this mixed up with another thing,
Can I
but
wait a second?
They in those days they reused the film for movies. So that they say that is just a ghost from a previous movie.
From old stock film?
From old stock film, yeah.
All right.
I wanted to say it was something hanging from the tree. It wasn't a person. It was just an object.
Just an object that was hanging in the background on a tree somehow?
Yeah.
TM. Have you heard this rumor before?
I've heard the Wizard of Oz thing. I don't remember what the explanation was, but I feel like it has something to do with one of those dwarfs or something like. I want.
Well,
can I receive
the
credit if it's dwarf related?
Well, the most common version of the myth is that it was one of the little people playing a munchkin hanging themselves. It has also been iterated that it was a stagehand, working backstage on the film, hanging themselves.
I'm sorry. Either way, the basic assumption is that film is expensive. They're just rolling film. And they're like, "Fuck, is Jerry killing him?" I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Dang, is Jerry killing himself? Dang it, Jerry. Well, keep rolling.
Well, it's a midget. Most people are going to see him.
Well, the usual explanation is that it's so far in the background that it went unnoticed in post-production. Which sort of, with just about 5 seconds of rational thought, undermines the entire urban legend because it presupposes that there's been a body hanging in a studio warehouse somewhere that nobody has found.
Yeah, like they know what pills Judy Garland was taking, but nobody mentions the guy who committed suicide on set.
Hey, Judy Garland's a moneymaker. That's why.
And it was in going back to silent films. It was a problem similar to what you were saying, Tim, that stuntmen were less valuable than their costumes. And it was not unusual for a stuntman to be injured or killed doing a stunt. And the biggest concern of the producers was to get the costume before it was damaged or lost. Grab that hat, save the clothes. So there can be some parsimonious movie producers,
that was another
especially
urban
sort of
myth
back in the day.
Ben-Hur, wasn't there someone supposedly killed in that scene in Ben-Hur, but they weren't actually killed? Like a stuntman got thrown in front of the
like with the chariot,
with
race
the chariot.
part.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard that as well. I have not. Unlike this urban legend, I have researched for my lesson plan, and I know what the explanation for it actually is. That I have heard that legend as well, the Ben-Hur legend, but I don't
it's
know
just something weird about the stuntmen being dead in the background
or
foreground of films.
People that die watching.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or that ghost and look who's talking.
So we have a little person moving around in the background. We have something hanging from a tree or something in the background, and we have stock footage that's being reused in the background, which did result in dinosaurs being in Citizen Kane.
That's awesome.
There's a scene of Citizen Kane where they reuse stock footage in the background of a nature scene, and there's actual pterodactyls flying.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That's pretty great.
And again, to be honest, you would never. I saw the movie 10 times until someone said, "Look right here." You never notice it because it's way in the back.
Yeah.
In some of the scenes of The Wizard of Oz, with especially the yellow brick road outdoor scenes, production company had brought in some birds like storks and cranes, and they just sort of wandered the set and were wandering in and out of shots. And that the weird thing in the background is a large bird, and it actually moves its wings kind of outwards once, so it looks like a weird movement, and you only see it for a second. So, however, like the pterodactyls, once you know what it is, it's clearly a bird. There's no mystery anymore what else it might be. And it is, I believe, a normal sized bird, TM, not a little bird, not a miniature bird.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was just getting ready to make the argument that a midget was closest to a large
like a bird.
than old stock film.
It's
They're both alive.
Yeah, so you get 5 points for having the correctest, wrongest answer. As Niels Bohr once said, TM, your theory is crazy, but it's not crazy enough to be true.
All right.
Thanks.
I like TM's laughter. Plus 5 points for just laughing. You're inspiring the whole class with your goodwill.
You should consider a morning time podcast and call it TM in the AM.
It's probably not a good idea if you want me to do it just based on the name. Like,
well, see,
if I actually did that, you would never listen to it, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I told him to do that, and I'm glad he's doing it." But,
no,
yep.
it's AM TM, and then you could have PM TM, and that could be the really raunchy one.
Like TM.
Like TM and the PM.
Sponsored by AM PM.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
You're just throwing away marketing, and it's bothering me just sitting
All
here.
right. I'm going to ask you a geography question. So this is based on how well you know your maps. And I would like to give a shout out. I'm a big fan of the newspaper column and also now website because everything's online. The Straight Dope by Cecil Adams. And if you're not familiar with him, please look him up because it's very informative and hysterical. But this question was, this part of my lesson plan was inspired by something that Cecil Adams wrote about. All right. I'm going to ask you where something is, and we're going to see if we can find them.
Okay.
And there's a list of a few things here, so we'll just see where they lead us. Does anyone know where Mount Richard is?
In the Dick Highlands.
Fair guess? Anyone wish to compete with that guess?
I don't know.
Sarah's crevice.
Germany.
Canada?
In light of TM and Tim's answers, I will throw you a hint in the form of all the places I'm about to name are in the United States somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So your random guesses can be a little more geographically specific.
Virginia.
Virginia. Anyone else ever
Colorado.
hear of Mount Richard?
Nope.
No?
What's the flattest state?
What Richard is it named after? Where's Nixon from?
It is named after someone called Richard Ciacci.
Chiachi? How do you spell that?
Thank you for asking that, Tim Cornette.
Bonus points.
Ciacci.
Okay, that's like an Italian, so I'm going to say New York.
Okay, we have a vote for New York, based on at least some reasonable guess.
Like New York, New Jersey, somewhere in that area, I bet. But I'm going to stick with New York.
Colorado.
Appalachians.
They have mountains.
That's not an Appalachian mountain name, I bet.
All right, keep your answers in mind, but I'm going to go on to the next place.
Okay.
And as we ask a couple more questions, it's going to be like a theme that unfolds.
Okay.
Dick Mountain.
Yeah, but that's if we pick up on it.
Yes.
Well,
As Tim pointed out, not all of us.
trust me, should you fail to pick up on the pattern,
Okay.
I will be glad to lord it over you.
I was educated on the streets.
Main streets.
Mean streets.
Mount Richard.
I don't know. I don't cotton much with your book learning.
Interestingly, I will have a question about a street in a moment. Perhaps you learned about it living on those same streets. But this is the
It's about
town.
that street I lived on.
Do you know the town of Agloe?
New Mexico. I almost said it.
I know I did, but I stopped myself.
What was it? Pablo?
Agloe. Agloe.
Okay.
Hello.
Nope.
Agloe. Never hear of Agloe?
No.
No, any idea where it is? What state? What part of the country?
Is
Agloe,
it
New
New Mexico?
It is not New Mexico.
Oh.
Agalo. It's in the continental United States, not like Puerto Rico or.
How about...
Guam.
No, I have been to Guam, by the way. That's where I got this tattoo from. La Taza Drive. This works good on radio, by the way. Showing your tattoo.
Yeah, maybe.
Jerry has just unveiled his shirt. Sure.
Here's one of those roads I mentioned. La Taza Drive.
La Taza. That sounds like it's in New Orleans or Louisiana.
Louisiana. I don't think it's very mountainous.
Taza. Taza is Spanish, right?
I
Yeah.
will neither confirm nor deny that, but I
La
like where you're
Taza.
going.
The and Taza is something. Was that part? Is it part? I want to say it's down that way.
There's another street associated with that street. There are two streets I wanted to mention. The other street is Loma Drive.
Loma.
Ever hear of Loma Drive or La Taza Drive or the town of
Oh, that
Agloe
sounds-
or Mount Richard?
It sounds California.
All right.
Guessing.
I have a couple more towns, and then we'll review to see if a pattern emerges.
Okay.
No one's ever lived there.
Have you heard of the town Go Blue?
Go Blue?
Goblu.
Mm-mm.
Where would that town be?
Is this like an...
Aglo Go Blue.
It's not in Idaho, is it?
It's not in Idaho.
Is it Kentucky?
Ooh, nice guess, but no.
What? What does that mean?
Huh?
That's blue, yeah.
Yeah, no, because it's Blue, Mount
Yeah.
Richard. Chiachi is a little weird, or Laszlo, but like Aglo or whatever would be a
Italians
weird.
have spread far and wide.
Not to Kentucky. Not appreciated.
How about the town of Bitosu?
Bitosu.
Spelled Beatosu.
Is this a Michigan thing?
It is a
gotta be
Michigan
Michigan.
thing, but not possibly in the way you're thinking, but you are on the right track.
So it's Indian.
So is it in Michigan?
Like Indians? No.
It is not in Michigan, but it does have something to do with Michigan.
No, like the Michigan Indians.
It's the Upper
I
Peninsula.
know.
Is it the Upper Peninsula?
It has something to do with Michigan, but it's not Indian.
It has something to do with Michigan's lower peninsula.
The Little Fingers.
No. No.
Detroit.
As in what's south of Michigan.
No.
Indiana?
That is correct, by the way, so 5 points for you.
All right.
In the southeasterly direction,
Tom Petty.
Illinois?
Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, east.
Go Blue and beat OSU.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the town.
They are town names.
Called Go Blue.
Are they in Michigan?
No?
Do they like the Smurfs?
No, they do not like the Smurfs.
And it's not Ohio?
It's not the Blue Man Group?
I will say I have never said the words "it's not Ohio,"
Oh, okay.
but I haven't said it is Ohio. I just became
okay.
like a little edgy and secretive.
Because there's only so many states that are southeast to Michigan.
Yes.
Like, we're running out of options.
options. Yes. Will, you wanted to add something?
I did?
You were pressing the imaginary button in front of your crotch.
Oh, that was...
That was pressing his crotch, brother. It's on radio. Let's freak flag fly.
I've got button Tourette's.
Well, all of the places I just mentioned have something in common, and now I'll ask you a different question, but it will let the cat out of the bag. Do you know what copyright traps are?
Copyright traps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
Something set
I
up
think so. I know.
to purposely let you infringe upon it so they can sue you?
You are very close to correct there, Will. I'll give you plus 5 points.
Oh, is that like when someone buys a website before a person might need it, and then...
It's not that, but
no, because I guess you would never.
It's more like closer to what Will was saying. But there's a particular industry in which copyright traps are most prevalent.
Porn?
No.
Well, traps in general.
Yes.
I mean, in software development?
So it does happen in software development, actually, because people write fictitious code into their code, because then if it gets copied, that can prove that you are copying their code rather than
Music?
Oh. Now I finally understand what it is. I'm like 2 minutes behind.
Okay, welcome to the
Let
class.
me think more
Tim.
about stuff.
Only being 2 minutes behind makes you one of the best students we've ever had in this class.
Good to know.
Does this still have to do with geography?
It has everything to do with geography.
So this is like the center of copyright traps?
Is it Delaware?
That's a good guess. They have different legal stipulations.
Yeah, that's pretty much like...
Yeah.
That's the Cayman Islands of the United States.
Yeah, legal system it is.
Is it the Cayman Islands?
No, there are, when cartographers and map-making companies publish maps, they intentionally write errors into it so that people, if they just copy their cartographic work, will be found out. So all of the places mentioned, for example, Mount Richard,
don't exist.
don't exist.
I wonder we didn't. That's why we didn't know.
Because they aren't real.
Damn you.
That's like an Inception version of a classroom quiz question. The question was inside the question inside the question.
Thanks for listening for a half hour.
This whole question's been a giant gobstopper.
To our listening audience, we don't respect you.
Oh no! Somewhere listening to this podcast right now, by which I mean in the future when they're listening to it, someone who knows what a copyright trap is going, yes, I knew this the whole time. That one person is for whose benefit this question has been constructed.
You should just be honking your horn right now, weirdo guy. Roll down your window. We're number one!
I've been there.
Well, it has come to the part of the class where I tally the final grades and give the student with the highest marks the coveted classroom prize, the golden banana. But before I award that prize, I want to give everyone one more chance to earn some extra credit. So we'll go around and please contribute to the general store of human knowledge in some way. Someone like to go first?
This is not the first event in which you've given out golden bananas.
Yeah.
How many golden bananas do you have stockpiled?
It's like a copyright track. I'm going to a gold banana, and you're going to give it away at your show. Then I'm going to sue you.
Like all good teachers, I have classroom helpers. An army of minions who are worried about
An
their
army
grades.
of golden bananas.
Yes.
Is this what you have your classes do instead of classwork?
No,
It's craft day!
it's not instead.
We're in college! Shut up! And get out your glue guns.
He's got bananas
I
in his basement.
refrain from making any references to the school at which I teach at this particular moment. However, TM, Will, or Tim, would you like to go for extra credit with an erudite comment of your own?
I'd like to say I think your thing on digestion shouldn't be measured on male or female, but length of intestine.
I will forward your concern to the Mayo Clinic, the source of my statistics.
Put some powder in the envelope and you send it.
Of course, I will not do that. Minus 1,000 points to Will Kessling for even suggesting such an anarchist thing. TM, surely you have something intelligent to say.
No, it's probably not intelligent. I feel a little bit betrayed by you now. That,
Can't trust
I was
you.
trying to think if I knew things. Like, because Tim's line of logic that led him to Kentucky, I'm like, oh, that is smart. And then, so I'm trying to do the same thing, but little do I know, it's just it's a fruitless endeavor. You're just going to get a golden banana at the end, but that's
Well, it seemed like a fruitless endeavor, but I've been carefully training your mind for your future uses.
You sound like a teacher.
Put in Guantanamo Bay.
If necessary.
Unlike what you might think, the Mayo Clinic cannot do anything about this tangy zip that I have. They threw me right
That
out.
would be a real miracle.
For that extra credit comment, Tim earns a bonus 10 points, bringing his total score to 10.
25.
No, you lost those other points long ago. Will lost all his points and is now 1,000,000 points in debt for suggesting.
Praise Allah. I love bacon.
And TM's score is infinite, as in a 0. And just for that act of self-actualization, we've determined that the winner of today's coveted classroom prize, the golden banana, is Tim Cornett.
Yay! All right.
And that just remains me, your host, to thank you, Tim, you, Will, you, TM, for attending today's class.
Right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gold Star Classroom is written and produced by Jerry Jaffe. Our producer and engineer is Stephen Gutierrez. Original music composed and produced by Jeff Geddert. Mr. Geddert is also our assistant producer. All commentary and opinions expressed by guests of Gold Star Classroom are meant for entertainment purposes only. For Gold Star Classroom, I'm Jerry Jaffe.